Kal Kadosh, Boker Or, Masechet Menahot, Daf Yomi, Daf Kavbet, Amud Aleph, 22a1. Yeah? Says the Gemara, Sal Kadai Tachamina. Right? We would have thought to say. Yeah? So Kal Kadosh, we were just saying like this. If you remember, we just mentioned Kavbet Amud Aleph, right? We were just talking about Kavbet 22a. So he says, Amina, I would have thought to say, Kizach Rachmana li Israel lehu lishka. When are they going to be zoche? They're going to be zoche dafka for the Israel that they have a lishka, which means the trumat a lishka. But the kohanim they let lehu lishka. But to do with the kohanim that they don't have lishka, lo zachalu rachmana. Kamashmanan comes to teach you, right, that mikol makom they're going to be mutarim lishtamesh with a melach for the melichat korbanotehim, and that's because Betin made a t'nai that they're allowed to do it. So therefore, they're allowed to use the melach. Meaning, it's not only that the Yisraelim could use the melach, even the Kohanim can use the melach. Okay, ve'etzim the pshita le detana de mishel tzibur. So how do we know that it's so pashut for the Tana that the tzibur are using? That means basically any type of wood comes from the shatzibur. How do you know that? Minalan. So Daniel, we learned in a bright. Yachol haomer arei alai olah. Imagine a person comes and he says, "Okay, fine. You know what? I'm going to bring an olah." So imagine right now, Yavi etzim. He has to bring the wood from his house. You're bringing the olah. So who's bringing the animal? You. So who's bringing the wood? You should bring the wood as well. So he says maybe you should bring the wood mitoch right kederech shehu mevi et hanesachim mitoch bedot, just like you bring the wine libations. Tamulomar ala etzim asher ala esh shel mizbeach. Just like the mizbeach is the tzibur, so to the etzim la'esh it's from the tzibur. Divrei Rabbi Elazar bar Rabbi Shimon. That's the shita of Rabbi Elazar bar Rabbi Shimon. So from here we learn that when you bring an olah, you only have to bring the olah and the nesachim from your house. You do not bring the wood from your house. The wood comes from the tzibur, which means that they have a big place there called Lishkata Etzim in the Bet HaMikdash, and there, that's where all the wood comes from. Rabbi Elazar ben Shamuel says, Ma mizbeach shelo nishtamesh bo ediot, af ha'etzim va'esh shelo nishtamesh bo ediot. You know why? It's a different learning. The learning is that just like the mizbeach, there's the hediot, right? Cannot do anything on the mizbeach. The hediot is a simple person, right? He doesn't use anything. Whatever is on the mizbeach is on the mizbeach. So to the etzim and the ish cannot have any hediot contact, meaning that it cannot be used by the hediot. Okay, so my benayil, what's the difference? At the end of the day, they're both saying the same thing, meaning lemaise, right? Lemaase tachlis, as they say, right? At the end of the day, they're both saying the exact same thing. Where does the wood come from? Tzibur. So my benayu. And so the difference between them is if it's going to be new. Why? If it's going to be new, the hediot never used it. If it was old wood, so then, the hediot used it. Here, if it's new wood, the hediot never used it. So maybe you could bring it from his house. But now that you said the first limud was ala es Hashem mizbeach, just like the esh is the mizbeach, and the mizbeach is shel tzibur, so to the etzim comes shel tzibur. So that's enough kamina between the two different shitot. Okay, ve'atika lo. So says the Gemara, what? Right? If there's no etzim yeshanim on the mizbeach, meaning you could only use new wood on the mizbeach. You can't use old wood. Faktiv it's written. Vayomer Ravna al David yikach, right? Yikach et hagoren, right? V'yal Adoni Hamelech ato be'enav, right? Rea bakar laolah, v'morgim ukriya bakar la'etzin. So obviously this. So he says no. Hacharam b'chati. We're talking about new. We're talking about new wood. So what is morgim then? Amar ula mita shel turbal. What is mita shel turbal? Amar Rav Yuda iza de kurkesa. We're talking about like a mashkolet, right? That looks like an etz. Okay, that means basically it's going to be that they put the luach etz, right? That it has a whole bunch of different things on it. V'dedashuba dishtai, which they come and they use. That means they have like a plank of wood. I think they call it a plank of wood, right? That they use it to do dash, to do threshing. So he comes here and he says like this. So he says, right? He just said it. It's a mashkolet that looks like an etz. Yes, yeah, that it looks like etz, but basically it's a luach etz. It's a very long luach etz. Yeah. Me'etz. Yeah. The dashu badishtaye, that they use it as threshing. So they put this at the back of the animal and they put it, and that's the threshing of the grain. So my kra, what's the pasuk? Inesamtichal morag charitz. Right? It says charutz chadash pal pifiyot tadu sharim v'tadok. So from this pasuk we talk about morag, that the morag is talking about for disha. So therefore we see that it's a utensil of dash. Dash is threshing, when they thresh, right, in the field. Fine. So we are on the Mishnah. Okay? No, disha is threshing. Says the Mishnah, Mishnah Kavbet Amud Aleph. Says the Mishnah, Nitarev kumtza bekometz chaverta. What happens right now if it becomes a ta'arovet of a kometz of one mincha with another mincha? Beminchat kohanim, to do with a minchat kohanim, beminchat kohan Mashiach or minchat kohan Mashiach or minchat nisachim, it's going to be keshera. Meaning like this. You remember the only difference between that the minchat kohanim or the kohen Mashiach and all these things, it's going to be kalil on the mizbeach. A regular mincha, right? The only thing which goes to the mizbeach is going to be the haktarat hakometz, the kometz itself, right? Which is the handful. Everything else is going to be eaten. Here, the one of the kohanim or the minchat kohen Mashiach, right, or minchat nisachim, is going to be the entire thing is going to go on the mizbeach hachitzon. So it's going to be keshera. Rabbi Yehuda says, if it's going to be minchat kohen Mashiach or minchat nesachim, it's going to be psula. Shezu belilata ava, vezu belilata raka. He says over there it's belila ava or belila raka. Remember, belila ava means that it's a thicker dough, and belila raka means that it's a thinner dough because there's so much oil. So therefore, the wine libation, since there's so much oil, so therefore it's going to be like a more of a runny substance. Vehem bolot zomizo, and therefore the kometz, which is bililato ava, is going to be bolea of the minchat of the nesachim or the komeshech, which is bilila raka. So therefore, that's why it's going to become pasul. Okay, Gemara. Tanan hata. We learned over there in the Mishnah. Okay, this is the Mishnah in Zevachim. So we're always going to take you back. Okay, so he says dam shenitarev b'mayim. When a person has blood, dam shel kodashim, right? That still was nitarev b'mayim. Okay, that gets mixed up with water. Im yesh bo, right? Mar'it dam kasher. If you have, right, a tarovet that looks like dam, it's going to be kosher. Nitarev beyain, if it's going to be that it was nitarev beyain, roin oto kilu maim. So we look at it as if it's going to be maim. Nitarev bedam be'ema or bedam chaya. If it's going to be that it was mixed with dam be'ema or dam chaya, roin oto kilu maim. We're going to look that it looks like maim. Rabbi Yehuda comes and he says, and dam mevatel dam. Dam cannot be mevatel dam, and therefore the dam of the kodshim, which was mitarev with the dam chulin, is right going to be kasher lizrika, because if it's only going to be even a chelek muat, it's not going to be mevatel. There's no bitul. So since it's not bitul, so therefore, right, what we're going to say is that it's still kasher lizrika. Okay? Ushnehem, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, ushne mikra chadashu. Meaning, you have a machloket here between Chachamim and Rabbi Yehuda. Do you say dam is mevatel dam or not? Correct? One more time. Dam that comes and gets mixed up with water. If it looks like dam, it's kosher. If it gets mixed up with wine, so therefore we look at it as if it's water. Now, if it's going to get mixed up with dam, but not dam be'ema chaya, whatever it is, but not of kodshim. So again, we're going to look at it as if it's maim, right? And then we're going to see if it's nikar or not. But according to Rabbi Yehuda, dam is not mevatel dam. Both Rabbi Yehuda and Chachamim, they learn it from the same pasuk. Why? Let's listen. Velakach midam apar midam asayir. It says in the Torah, you're going to take from the blood of the par and the blood of the sayir. Okay, and then you're going to put it on the karnot mizbeach saviv. Okay, so the Kohen Gadol comes, he takes the blood of the par, the blood of the sayir, when they're mixed, and he puts it on the four corners of the inner mizbeach. Remember the mizbeach primi. So now it says like this: Adavar yadua shedamo shel par meruba midamo shel sayir. We know that a bull has much more blood than a he-goat. Sayir is a he-goat. So the bull, blain ra, you got a lot of blood there. So there's much more blood in the par more than the sayir. Now, what is it calling it still? Dam hapar v'dam sayir. That means even though there's a mi'ut of dam sayir, it's still considered a ta'arovet, right? And it's not going to be batel. So Rabbanan Savre, the rabbis hold, kavbet amubet, mikan leolin she'en mevatlin zeh. From here we learn that anything that goes up to the mizbeach, that gets mixed up, it's not going to be vatel one to another. Why? Because both of them go up to the mizbeach, and they both go up after it was mixed, and still it's not mevatel. Okay, Rabbi Yehuda, right? He comes and he says, right? Mikan shelemin bemino eno batel. Rabbi Yehuda learns only min bemino do you say that it's not going to be batel. Meaning, blood and blood is min bemino. It's the same species. What do I care if this is blood from this animal, blood from another? What is it? It's blood. Same species. So from here, Rabbi Yehuda learns that min b'mino is not batel. According to the Shita Chachamim, they're going to learn from this pasuk that em mevatlin zeh zeh, meaning that we're not going to be batel one korban to another korban that got mixed up. Why? Because these two things got mixed up and then they come up. It's not going to be batel. But according to Rabbi Yehuda, min b'mino em batel. Rabbanan sabri mikan leolin shen mevatlin zeh zeh v'dilma mishum de min b'mino. Says 1 second. Maybe the rabbis hold like Rabbi Yehuda that it's because it's min b'mino. That's why it's not batel. So answers the Gemara. And if it would tell us min b'mino v'lo b'shmina nolin. You're right. If it would only tell us that it's because it's mimimino, so yenachanami, right? But now, hashd the shamina nolin. Now that you told us it's because it's going to the mizbeach, right? It's only because of olin, not because of mimimino. So says the Gemara, v'dilma deika mimimino ve'olin. Maybe you need both. You've got two svarot here to say it's different, right? What is the two svarot? The two svarot is you have svara that they're olin la mizbeach, and svara shniya that it's mimimino. Maybe you need both. Meaning, if it's also mimimino and it also goes up to the mizbeach, then I say that it's not going to be batel. Why? Because it's the same species, right? And therefore it's going up. But if it's not, you need. So answers the Gemara, kasha. You're right. It's a very good question. Maybe you do need both. So says the Gemara, Rabbi Yehuda savar mikan mimimino she'eno batel. This is the mekor din that Rabbi Yehuda always holds. Mimimino is never batel. The dinma maybe because it's because of olin. Maybe he holds like chachamim. It's because of olin. So says the Gemara, iyesh min olin. Right? So min b'she'eno mino, then you're right. But now that I only taught you min b'mino be'olin, so it's because of min b'mino. So says the Gemara, v'dima deika min b'mino ve'olin. Maybe you need both. Kasha, it's again the same question. Okay, so until here, it's very, very simple until the two dots. Basically, one more time. We have a rule. You've got dam and dam. Damapar, damasaid. What has much more blood? Damapar. And you have the damasaid is the he-goat, it's much less blood. But you mix them together, and then you come and you sprinkle them. We're talking about the Kohen Gadol. He's going to sprinkle them on the Mizbeach HaPnimi on the four corners. So, says the Gemara, right, that you're going to take midama pano midama sa'ir, and then you're going to put it on the Karnot Mizbeach Saviv. Why does it call it damapar damasa'ir? You've got 3/4, whatever it is, you've got tons of amount of damapar, and then you have a very small amount of damasa'ir. Says the Gemara, obviously, we learn from here that it's not going to be batel. Now, there's two reasons why it's not batel. Rabbi Yehuda learns it's not batel because min b'mino is not batel. In order for you to annul something, it always has to be min b'she'eno mino. When it's min b'mino, it's not batel. If I'm
water and blood.
Yes, water and blood, wine and blood. That's called min b'she'eno mino, right? Meat and other types of meat, right? But if it's going to be meat, it's min b'mino. Min b'mino, it's not batel. Why? It's the same thing, right? Is it going to taste different? The meat of a cow that was done shchita and the meat of a cow that was not done shchita? It doesn't taste different. Let's pretend I did the melicha on both, or not melicha on both. I roasted both, so there's no blood. Right? Exactly. It's not going to taste different. If it's going to be pig and regular meat, yeah, that's min b'she'eno mino. That's two different species. One's cow's meat and one's pig's meat. Yeah. Horse's meat. That's a different meat. It's 100. But if it's min mino, the exact same meat.
Okay, it's blood to blood.
Yeah. So blood to blood. So there's two different reasons. Either because blood to blood is not going to be batel, min b'mino and batel, or because number two, it goes up to the mizbeach. So Chachamim learned that the Yikar is, it goes up to the Mizbeach. So we asked, maybe they hold us mimimino. So no, the fact that they mentioned the concept that it goes up to the Mizbeach, that's the main reason. Maybe you need both. It's a good question. Then we go to Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda learns, maybe you need also mimimino and also goes up to the Mizbeach. That's why it's not going to be batel. Here, you had the Damapar and Damasaid, it also goes up to the Mizbeach and it's also mimimino. So maybe each one only took one of them. Rabbi Yehuda took the mimimino aspect. Chachamim took the olin al mizbeach aspect. Says the Gemara, maybe I need both. So the Gemara says it's a good question. Kasha, it's a good question. I don't know. We don't have an answer. You sprinkle it on the mizbeach. Maybe the only reason why we say that it's not batel is because it's going out to the mizbeach. But if it's not going out to the mizbeach, it's not batel. So that's the shita of Chachamim. Shita of Chachamim is anything that goes up to the mizbeach is going to be batel. So maybe you also need mimimino. It's a good question. We don't have an answer.
But that means that it's going to be kosher.
That's the Gemara. 2 dots. Tran, we learned to the Mishnah. Rabbi Yehuda comes and he says, "B'minchat kohen Mashiach u'minchat netzachim pesula." If it's going to be mitarev a kometz in the minchat kohen Mashiach and minchat netzachim, it's going to be pesula. Why? Because it all depends on the belila. Remember that many different types of food, sometimes it has belila ava, and sometimes it has belila raka. So for example, when you make a regular bread is belila ava. It's thick. It's a dough. It's a thick dough. But when you make cakes, crepes, right? The crepes, all these things, like mufletas, all the it's bilila raka. What is bilila raka? It's very, very, sponge cake. It's very, very, how do you call it? Very runny, very liquidy. Well, therefore, since it's liquidy, that's why you always have the holes, right? When you come and you actually take it, there's a lot of the holes. Why? Because it's bilila, right? Raka. So he comes and he says, "V'chi bolot zo mizo may have." So ask the Gemara, what do I care if it does actually get mixed up? As we said that it was going to get mixed up, and therefore it's going to become pasul. Because you have in the Nisachim, for example, it's wine libations. It's wine libations. You got wine, and then you mix it up with oil, so it's very runny, right? So if that's going to get mixed up with a regular mincha, the mincha is thick. So what's going on? Yeah? V'chiboleot zo mizo may havi. What's it going to be? Mimino. It's going to be mimino. So Amar Rava comes and he says, Kasav Rabbi Yehuda comes and he says, Kol shu mimino v'davar acher, select mino, just take away the mino, kimi sheno. Sheno mino rava alav vatlo. And then you're going to take the right sheno mino, and then what's going to happen is, right, it's going to be rava alav vatlo. It's going to be vatel. Okay? Fine.